Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the DaVon Lewis Show podcast, where I bring the latest news and updates from the world of sports entertainment with an AEW Dynamite review for April 23rd, 2025, which was showcased on TBS and simulcast on the Max streaming service. As it all goes down here directly on this channel, let's talk about professional wrestling. Let's get into the show. More importantly, appreciate you guys coming. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, turn on notification bell so you don't miss an update when the video drops, and let's go ahead and get into the channel. Thank you guys for coming through. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we kick things off with Dynamite with Master P introducing the new AEW Trios champions. Everything was running smoothly. Of course, the ops ended up coming out and things really broke down from there. The situation broke down as they got a standing ovation as Samoa Joe makes them say, nah. Of course, the fans get into it. The Death Riders automatically cuts things off. Obviously, they have Marina Shafir. She steps out alone. But it didn't take long before a distraction when Jon Moxley, Claudio Castelloni, and Willa Yuta came out to attack the ops from behind. Master P was left alone in the ring with Jon Moxley, and he had a brief confrontation, verbal jabs back and forth, until Samoa Joe recovered and put the cleaner clutch, the rear naked choke, directly on Jon Moxley. But things really broke down very quickly as we had Matthew and Nicholas Jackson running down to make the save with a couple of chairs and put the beat down directly on Okada. And then, of course, things broke down when we had Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland to even the odds, and of course the lead bails out and everybody else scattered, which were heels, and things broke down from there. But in overall, I enjoyed how everything was actually smooth, being calm, cool, and collective. The presentation wasn't too bad, but I enjoyed how things were coming together when it came to how things were coming together and the intertwined communication, including having Master P there. The ops were doing their thing, brawling much as they could, but they were outnumbered. But things really broke down very quickly. Then we got to Renee Burkett. She's backstage with the Patriarchy, which we haven't seen for a little bit of time altogether. And of course, she ends up congratulating Nick Wayne on winning the Ring of Honor Television Championship and becoming the company's youngest champion ever. Christian grabs the mic, of course, after giving Nick Wayne a little bit of inch. He tries to take it back control. And then, of course, he ends up grabbing Nick's title and told him that he should congratulate him because he is the responsible one for Nick Wayne. The situation transformed into him being the prodigy. And, of course, Chris Cage told Nick Wayne that he and Mother Wayne have a big celebration later on in that showcase to explain that the good things happen when you keep your mouth closed and listen to him. And of course, the biggest thing is what he said, he always tells the truth. Then we get to Mark Briscoe, who defeated the likes of Ricochet. In a good match, it was a lot of back and forth. I enjoyed how everything had transitioned fairly well. A lot of back and forth. Mark Briscoe got the victory roll up. It was nice seeing the professor in the crowd as they had a little camera cut towards him with Ricochet for a moment. Of course, it's always going to be a bald sensation when it comes to that situation. Of course, after the celebration broke down from Mark Briscoe, Ricochet went on the offense, hitting him with a chair from behind. And of course, pulling everything out from there, and of course, grabbing those lovely golden scissors that he enjoyed coming out with. The situation broke down very quickly. He's about to use them, but Kevin Knight rushed out there, and Ricochet tried to attack him, but Knight struck him, of course, with a large right hand, knocking the scissors directly out of Ricochet's grasp, and then, of course, he ended up escaping to the back. Kevin Knight helped Briscoe up, and then they stand tall and celebrated as Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson watched on from the audience and celebrated the actual victory from there. Then we get to an in-ring segment. Stokely Hathaway, he is now with the FTR. He introduces them and claimed that he's got their suspensions removed after everything that had happened and concluded with their permanently off their records. He also goes to say that he is now their agent. Tony Schiavone then interviews FTR and they argue with what would happen to Daniel Garcia at their hands if it wasn't their fault. And of course, Garcia chooses 2.0 over them. So they end up inviting Ricky and Robert, of course, the Midnight Express, into the ring and told them a couple of different things about how they feel like they may be better than them. And then, of course, they ended up attacking them. And the Paragon, Adam Cole, and Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly made the save to come out there to clear the ring. And then, of course, make the save from things getting worse at the hands of FTR. FTR immediately fled with Hathaway, and things broke down from the actual segment. Then we get to the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson. They defeated the likes of Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight after Ricochet interfered to cost Knight and Bailey the match. It was a strong showcase between both teams, but I enjoyed the overall tag team match, and it was good stuff for television for the tag team division. Renee Paquette, she's interviewing Tony Storm. She shared a lot of details on her thoughts on Chris Statlander versus Jamie Hayter. Storm hyped up her appearance at TCML Film Festival and announced that an open challenge for her AEW Women's World Title Eliminator will take place at AEW Collision. Just as she's about to wrap up her challenge, the Queen Anamanata, steps up and accepts the challenge for a Collision. So we got that in signed, sealed, and delivered for the women's division, as we will have Tony Storm versus Queen Anamanata. And I'm all cool with that. They have faced before. They have great chemistry. And I look forward to seeing how those ladies get it on and work together. Then we go to MVP and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. They are there. Of course, they crack up the gates of agony. And of course, and they haven't seen them since losing to them. But Lashley was about to speak. But then things broke down when MJF came up with a nice flashy car. MJF positioned it directly in front of himself and assessed that for the group, stating that he could lead them to the gold in wrestling, and boasted of his ability to cut corners better than anybody else in the business. Of course, MVP and Shelton Benjamin were agreeable to the concept, and then Lashley was a little bit doubtful, as usual. MJF apologized to Bobby Lashley and offered him the car that he arrived in, and if he gives a thumbs up, things will run smoothly. Lashley accepts the keys. He gives him the car. He puts his finger sideways, kind of like smile with the whole situation. And then things broke down from there, where he basically just gave a straight thumbs down after everything broke down. But of course, things broke down as well as the rest of the Hurt Business drove off, leaving the MVP and MJF in the center of the ring. MJF, of course, was furious after the whole broke down of things, but MVP was trying to calm him down, reassuring that things will get better in the upcoming weeks. Then we got to Renee Paquette. She's interviewing Hangman Adam Page. Things break down very quickly as they had an interview backstage, and he is trying to stay focused on Kyle Fletcher, but MVP interrupts the whole situation. MJF interrupts the whole situation, and they have a brief confrontation. Then MJF says he's going to ride smoothly back to the championship with the Hurt Syndicate by his side. While Hangman chokes in the Owen, Hangman jokes about it and says he got something for MJF. And of course he says choke on that after he advances and go from there. But if Hangman does advances into the Owen, I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. Seeing him versus Will Ospreay, I think that will be a really good one towards the finals. And then whoever wins up with that situation goes on to face Jon Moxley over at All In. Then we get to tag team action. We had Konosuke Takeshita and Josh Alexander of the Don Callis family defeating the likes of Will Ospreay and Brody King. This match was signed, sealed, and delivered with hard action. Great transition tag team. Everybody was able to get off their finishers, and more importantly, it kept me highly invested through the course of how things were running smoothly. But post-match, they end up having come to a collision course with a brawl out, as Will Ospreay was chokeslammed by Lance Archer, who got involved, leaving both Ospreay and Brody King knocked out after the situation broke down. Kyle Fletcher, the prototype, came down and attacked Will Ospreay, but Hangman appeared to make the save. But of course, the things broke down with another ambush as Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero lead to a beatdown. leading to the Don Callis family standing tall. This wasn't even a Don Callis family. This was the Don Callis army. Like literally, it was guy after guy after he left the invitation open. He's have a large group ahead of him. This is like pretty much big NWO status if you're familiar with how that ran. Not on a terrible level yet of just too many guys just joining the Don Callis family, but it's enough to keep things calm, cool, and collective. Then we get to the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. It is the main event of the night, as we have Jamie Hayter defeating the likes of Chris Statlander in a solid good match. Overall, the ladies put on a great performance. It was a great transitions back and forth, but of course, Jamie was able to get the victory with the Hayter rate and secure the victory with the 1-2-3. But in overall, everything was great from how things were running smoothly. I enjoyed how the actual transition went about with everything, and things were cool from my own personal take. But I'd like to know from you guys' point of view how you feeling about everything when it came to overall presentation of AEW Dynamite with that Owen Hart tournament leading to the finals. As we have Mercedes Moné, who came out to end the confrontation, and things worked out very quickly as she knows her official opponent for Double or Nothing as the TBS Women's Champion is going to be defending her gold on the line against no other than Jamie Hayter. I don't know if they're going to put the title on the line, but I know there's going to be some kind of stipulation behind it where we're going to have not the title, but we're going to have the Owen Hart Championship as they usually have for the men's and women's division and Phoenix, which I look forward to seeing how things actually conclude and become calm, cool, and collective. But it was not too bad, not too shabby. But there you guys have it for the latest edition of the AEW Dynamite. I kind of kept the calm, cool, collective, not too long, not too over the top. What was your favorite match of the actual show? More importantly, how excited are you guys about everything that has been going on leading up to Double or Nothing? And of course, this week's edition was calm, cool, collective. It was a good show. After the heels of WrestleMania, they did great last week. I really enjoyed how things was productive and kept me entertained. This week was kind of like on the same level. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys are feeling about everything that took place. More importantly, I appreciate you guys coming through. Until the next episode, you guys be safe. I'm DaVon. You guys have been listening to the actual podcast. I'll catch you guys later. Be safe. Peace.